Welcome to Foxy's Retrofitting. I'm Midnight, and today we'll be removing the dash out of my 94 Honda Civic Ember. I'm going to start off by taking off the easier plastic pieces under the steering wheel. So this piece is held on by 3 screws, one here, here, and here, and that will just be a Phillips head. This piece is generally held on with 3 screws as well, one here, here, and here. Unfortunately on mine, these 2 are missing, so I have this bolt to hold it in place. And these 2 pieces just have a couple clips that snap into each other. They'll just pop apart. Next I'm going to take out the bezel. So I removed those 2 bolts. Was having a lot of resistance trying to figure out why. Turns out, if you remove the hazard, just use some flat heads underneath it and it should pop right out, and then you disconnect it and there's a hidden screw. Then be sure to disconnect your clock and that will come right out. Next I'm going to take out the gauge cluster, which is held in by 4 screws, one here, one here, one here, and one here. There's 4 connectors that you need to disconnect. Here, 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 here. There we go. Most people shouldn't have to use a tool to get those out. Next I'm going to take out the radio. I forgot you have to remove that piece first.
You gotta take that off first. If you want just the radio out, you can slide something thin in both sides and then pull it out. Here and here. And then you just pull out. It's kind of weird. This is an aftermarket thing. The stock would be a bit different. But they got these little clips that flex, that clip into them, and that's what that is. So then when you get them unhooked, you can just pull it out.
Okay. And then you just disconnect the wires.
And then you can just unhook it that way. It's necessary to remove the glove box in order to access the bottom of the passenger side.
In the 92 to 95s, their glove box have these tabs on the side. As seen here, there's usually a lip right here that holds this one in, but they flip up on this side. There's another one on this side.
That's what those look like. And there's a little tab on the plastic on that side of the dash it catches on.
And they just flip up, like so. So you'll need a Phillips head screwdriver. I don't know if all 92 to 95 Civics have this, but mine being an EX, it has this little plastic strut that attaches here to the glove box. You just need a Phillips head, get a good grip and just unscrew it, and you can gently push that off and it'll pull it back. You can remove these by taking the bolts out on this side and the bolts out on this side, which will remove this whole piece, removing this if you need it out of the way.
I believe those are 10 millimeter.
I'm just going to flip that up in my hand. Usually there is 2 screws here that are Phillips heads. In order to get the rest of the glove box out, you just undo these screws on both sides. Take that out. That side will drop down. And then repeat the same on the other side. Remove the screw and the glove box will come out. Next I'll be moving this little brace right here. It's held in by 4 bolts, one here, 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 and here. Most of these can be taken out with a Phillips head. One of these bolts is not stock, so it is a 10 mil for me, but everything else should be taken out with a Phillips head. Next we'll be moving the AC controls down where the glove box is. After we remove the brace, there's this cord here. So this cord here is the one we need to remove that control up there. Generally this is straight. Mine has some tampering that has been done with it previously. And do it from this clip, just pop it out. And then slide it down and unhook it. Here's 3 bolts, one here, here, and over here to remove it. I can barely get the stubby in. Yeah, okay. Okay, for note, this one went here and this one was in the middle. Those are notable size differences. And we'll see, this one's also long. So long on both sides, short in the middle. So it goes long, short, long.
Okay, there's 2 connectors on the back of the heater control. There's one right here. And there's one up here on the top middle of the assembly. Got that one. Had to use a pick on that one. Which gets us further here to this one. Here's where those connectors connect. Got one up here. Had to put a pick in through the bottom to unclip it. And then one over here, which I had to put a pick in this way to unhook because it had a really thick locking connector. And there's where your cable connects the bottom of that for the lever. So when you move the lever, it moves the cable.
So next I'm going to work on these, the D-cross buttons. And there is a connector right there. Yeah, I just took that right off. And now that's disconnected and you don't even have to remove it if you're removing the dash. Next we'll be removing this plate. It has a bolt here and a bolt here. They're sort of deeper in there, so you're probably going to need an extension, but I believe that those are 10mm.
So removing the cruise control and moonroof and all these mirror controls and stuff on Hondas is pretty simple. You just take your hand and stick it up through the back. And if you can get at least one finger on the back of it, they have little clips in them that if you push them forward, it'll just pop them out. There we go. And if you have problems getting to this one, you could take this out and reach in and push back this way to get it out. And then to get these have these little connectors. They're real nice and easy. You just push down on the thing and then you wiggle and pull. The little green one is a little harder. There we go. And then this one, we've got a green one here and then 2 grays. These are all just pinch and pull connections. It can be a little stiff if they've been on there and haven't been touched before. There we go. And there's that assembly. With the EX, you've got 4 connectors. If you don't have these options, then you don't have to worry about that. And now we're going to get ready to remove the airbag on the driver's side. Before you do any of this with the SRS system, always disconnect the battery for at least 5 minutes. There's the SRS, the fuse block.
This one?
Yeah, it's got a little lock before you open it. So you have to pop this bit up first. So yeah, this little bit has to go up, and then you can depress this and pull it. We have to short the connection on the airbag to make sure that there's no accidental discharge. Under here, under the steering wheel, on the bottom, if it's sitting straight, you have a little panel right here that's held on by 1 Phillips head screw, and then it'll just pop off by hand.
Pull it down.
Yep. Now in this panel there's a little red jumper. That's the jumper that you're going to connect onto the airbag side of the harness to keep the airbag neutral so it doesn't get accidentally deployed by static electricity or anything. Now under here there's the yellow connector for the airbag. You're going to want to pinch and pull that one, and this is the piece that you put the short connector on. And that's how that works. So now the airbag is neutral. After you do that, here on the sides to unmount the airbag are these little clips here. These little panels unclip.
Bye.
They're real flexible and they can shoot off anywhere. So here's a little panel. We have two of these, one on each side. They just pop out, little plastic bits. And then this is a T30 Torx. There's one of these on each side of the airbag that you'll take out to remove the airbag out of the steering wheel. On this side, the piece is a shroud that goes over the cruise control on EX models. So when you take this out, there's a Phillips head screw on this side and a Phillips head screw on this side. This is the cruise control switch on the EX model.
Oh, there's a connector.
Just pull straight out like that.
Yep. And now we can get to the T30 bolt. Oh God, that has some torque behind it.
After that, you can pull the airbag directly towards you, and there it is.
Alright, next we're going to work on taking the passenger side airbag out. First we got to take out this panel, which has two screws, one here and one here. Something else holding this on. Okay, so it's a little slide. So when you pop it down, you have to slide it back. Now that the panel's off, we'll be disconnecting this and shorting it out with this little clip right here. Go. We'll get that out. Push that down and pull them apart. And connect. And there's that. Next we're going to be removing these two tins here and here. And next we'll be needing to get the bolts up. There should be two tins. Here and two more tins there, and that is what is holding the rest of the airbag in.
On the passenger side airbag, there's a air ducting you remove with two screws here. In that back, further towards the windshield nut, it's extremely hard to get. Had to use a 1/4 inch ratchet with an extension and a 10mm socket on it. And Midnight's having to hold the bottom of it steady on the nut because it was torqued so tight, and I'm having to crack it loose and undo it with the ratchet here.
Alright, we got all the bolts out of the airbag, so now all that's left is to pull it up out of the dash.
Takes some finagling to get it to come up out because it's got studs that go down that the nuts were attached to. Once you do, you can kind of wiggle it back and forth, and you want to kind of pivot it away from the windshield like so.
Be careful of the cord.
Directly out, and there's the cable. All right, there it is.
Now I'll be dropping the steering wheel down. First thing I have to do is get the cover off around the base of the steering wheel. There's two clips, one here and one here. This one I bumped off while setting up the camera. And this one should just pop. Next we need to remove the brackets. It's good to note that you want to make sure your steering wheel is straight for this. Careful, the fuse box is right here. You don't want to damage it. Last we got bracket here, and over here we got a bolt there to take off, and a bolt there to take off. Turn down carefully. Before I finish dropping this, I'm going to remove a couple connectors right here. This connector here because it attaches to the steering wheel, and I don't want it to break anything if it comes down. There's also another one here. Got the connectors out. Now it's time to finish dropping it. I'm just going to very slowly lower each side. It is fair to warn that this thing may drop like a rock, and I suggest to take a pair of hands to help. Holding it up with our knees. I get these bolts off. Spin. Now it should be loose. And it will come straight down. Should. What is holding it? Okay, it's moving. There's the connector. Disconnector. Okay, there we go. Very quick note. There's an ABS connector at the back of this that you need to make sure you disconnect before dropping it. Disconnect this one from there. From there. This one's long enough it can stay on, it's fine. Next is to remove this panel up here. I suggest starting at the back and popping it up with a screwdriver on both sides. Take a small flathead and pull it up. Those metal clips like to hold on, they're quite stubborn. There's just 3 metal clips that pop out and then it pulls straight out. So now it's time to remove the actual dash itself, and there's several bolts, starting with the one under this. This one's scary because you gotta be going up towards the window. Try not to hit the window. The next bolts I'm getting are gonna be located here and down here. This one's pretty loose since I've loosened it earlier. There's a cover here that will come off, and there will be a bolt behind it. And that will just pop right out. I do suggest finding the side with the clip to pull out first. And there's the other bolt. And that is also in 10. And again with this side. Three bolts, one here, one in the middle, and one on that side. So that one's a 12. Then under the dash next to the fuse box, there's another bolt here. Now I'm just gonna spend a minute making sure everything is unattached from the dash, and we should be able to pull the dash right off. So I went to pull this one off and it ended up snapping. So this is a pretty old dash. It's prepared for a couple things to break. That's a bummer. So be careful pulling these off. Trying to get this under here there is another little ground wire that runs this way, and under that little connector there. I'm going to pull out the wires from the radio. All the connectors should be disconnected. Just move slow, make sure nothing gets caught up, and it should come. It's a really damn tight squeeze. Tangle it from the dash. Next we're going to take the dash out. Everything's been disconnected. All the bolts have been taken out, so we should just be able to pull it out. If you have an automatic, you may want to push your shifter all the way back. Handbrake up is a good idea.